question today, Amir, which is, can we live without ego?
Yeah.
It's a big question. This month, I facilitated a journey called the OMG group, which is Oneness Mentoring Group. And you provide all the content in that module this month about ego. So I thought you'd be the perfect person to help discuss this, because a lot of us do, there's a lot of talk about ego and not being an ego and finding that way of life where you're not so, I don't know, egoistic. But I find I still, it's been 8 years and I'm still catching myself in ego at times.
Well, so that's an interesting question, you know. Can we not be in ego, or how can we beat the ego? But before we even get into that point, let's talk about a little bit about what the ego is, you know, just so you become more familiar. Because some people, sometimes are not so familiar. They think ego is just a part of you that was a little bit naughty or mischievous, or I don't know, got up to trouble. So it's not just that, you know. The ego is it's a common voice in our head. You know, that internal voice that you have that is leading to one conversation, then taking you out to a different conversation. Before you know it, you know, 10 minutes later you forgot where you were because you've been continuously thinking. You know, that voice. Sometimes people are thinking to themselves, which voice, right? That's one of the voices that just went, which voice? Okay, so, but then we have this other voice that's more in the moment, and it flows, and it feels light and creative. Yeah, it's a different voice. So yeah, I think the most important thing to do here is to actually identify the characteristics of ego, and you know, just because we're having a quick conversation here, because we're spending a whole month in the OMG program. Yeah, you know, the OMG program is one of my coaching programs is a 12-month coaching program, and one whole month is dedicated to grasping ego. So in a nutshell, if you like, the ego's characteristics, its voice, it always tries to do the same thing. It's either beating you up, or it's building you up. Okay, it's either giving credit to something, or it's blaming. Now, whether you're giving credit to your circumstances or blaming your circumstances, whether you're giving credit to the past or the future, it doesn't matter. It's not necessarily building yourself up per se. I might be building Jamie up and saying, oh, how great he is, and you know. But that's the characteristics. That's what the ego continuously does. It does those four things. It beats you up or builds you up. It gives credit or it gives blame. But my favorite is that it's the voice that, you know, either says to you that you are very great, you know, you should be getting paid more, or you should be getting respected more, or you should be getting appreciated more, and how amazing you are because of this and that, right? And really,
good things.
Which is you probably say, you know,
a lot of people say that you've got to, you know, have more self-respect and love yourself more.
Yeah, but you know, that is a voice. You see, the part of you that is centered, right, and is neutral or empowered, because some people don't understand neutral. They go, neutral means nothing. It doesn't need to build itself up, or doesn't need to tell itself how great it is, because it already is. Does that make sense? So, you know, as soon as you find that voice that says, oh, I'm so amazing, right? And you know, you're kind of like everyone else maybe below you, and even if there's no reference of everyone else, it's just that you think to yourself, not only can you do this, you've got this shit. Like, you've got it.
So where does you speak about this voice, this other voice? Is that not just another version of the ego, this one? What are you talking about?
Well, let's talk about the opposites.
Okay.
Because the opposite side of that is important as well. And people will relate to this because they have that where they think they're amazing. And, you know, they're like, if I may say, their shit don't stink. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Right?
But then on the opposite side, right, and in different areas of your life, or some more people will relate to this, the individual that thinks they're not good enough. I can't do this. Yeah. You know, I remember when I first wanted to speak and started to coach, you know, my background was I was a promoter, and I used to promote you know, motivational speakers, if you like. So when I sold that company and moved away from the whole industry, and then I felt to actually start speaking, the voice in my head went, well, who are you to speak?
Yeah.
You know, what experience do you have? You know, you've promoted speakers, but you're nothing compared to them. That's what the voice said, right? But I've also experienced the opposite of that when I did start speaking, and I've been speaking for over 15 years now, and I became really good at it. And then the voice started going, you've got this.
Yeah.
Like, you were made for this. And both experiences lead me to falling over. Does that make sense?
Totally, can relate to that myself as well. And taking credit for something and then building yourself up, but then you still feel limited. You still feel confined, I suppose, within your experience, because it's all about the external validation. And sometimes you don't even realize it hides, and you think you're doing it for yourself, but really it's about what's happening externally, not from the internal. And that's what I wanted to ask you. You said there's this other voice that doesn't need any of that conversation.
Yeah.
So what do you mean? Where's that voice come from?
Well, it doesn't. What I can tell you where it doesn't come from. It doesn't come from reasons. It doesn't come because something is happening. Does that make sense? I always say love is something that finds you, and love has no reasons. Yeah. Right. So it comes from love.
So it's the voice of love you're talking about?
And let's not make it too spiritual here, right? The voice of love, you know? It's the voice or the feeling that inspires you to say and act and be and pursue the things you love.
For no reason.
Because you love it.
Oh, you love it. Okay.
But that's the thing. I mean, if I ever ask a young person, young people know this really well. You know, if I ever find someone who really finds what they love to do, and I say, hey, mate, why do you do what you do? They always say, I don't know, I just love it. What are they actually saying? I don't know any reasons besides I just love to do it, right? What happens is as we get older, we begin to find reasons why we should do it. And the moment you find reasons and you add reasons of why you should be in the relationship, why you should keep this job, why you should continue to stay on this path.
So you're saying as we grow up, your ego becomes more powerful and makes things more important?
As you grow up, you give more. It's almost like you give the ego a bigger stage. Yeah. You give it a greater dominance in your life. You don't have to, right? But you begin to. Right? When you're younger, you use more of your love and creativity. We're all born with that, right? But as you get older, right, the voice gets more dominance because you gave it a greater stage.
And it's so true, because I hear so many people, you know, over the years where they say, I remember when I was young and I used to just do things and it'd be in the flow and things would just happen. It was, you know, and they go, I don't know, they haven't experienced that for a while. Yeah. You know, so.
Look, obviously this is a short conversation, and there's a lot more, you know, in you know, practices or processes that will support you in identifying, because the ego is very intelligent, right? As you become more conscious or as you become more aware, your ego will start to use your awareness and use the same words.
Your language,
your
newfound conscious language.
When I talk about, you know, on stage, you know, doing what you love to do, right? And I'm a big believer, you know, unless you do what you love to do, like your purpose, your reason to live, it diminishes. Yeah. You have to do what you love to do, right? But when people start to recognize that and go, yeah, that is true, I'm going to start doing what I love to do, the ego then comes in and goes, yeah, we're going to do that. We're going to do what you love to do. And it goes, okay, so what's easy to do? And it's like, or what do you want to do for money? Yeah. It's like, hang on. I said, do what you love to do. And immediately a voice starts coming there thinking, well, yeah, doing what you love to do is doing what you love to do for work.
Work, money, yeah.
Okay, that may be part of it, but that wasn't the question. I said, do what you love to do. Be who you love to be. Be the expression that you came here to be. You know, that was not the question. And then even when you're looking to find the things that you love to do, the ego's going, yeah, well, obviously what you love to do is easy. So we're looking for what's easy and what's going to require no risk and what's going to be requiring us to be safe. No, you know, when you do what you love to do, then there's always risk, or not always, but that may be part of the process, that there is risk. And it doesn't mean it's easy. You might love to bloody, you know, change your career. Like, 5 years ago, I decided to, become a pilot and pursue a childhood dream of mine. You know, there's a lot of work that had to be done there. There's a lot of, you know, potential failures along the way. It doesn't mean it's easy. It means it's effortless.
Yeah.
All right. When you're doing what you love to do, it's effortless.
That's a good point.
And that simply means that, well, I'll cut it down, but in a nutshell, it just simply means that when you're doing it, you feel alive. Okay. But there is work.
Yeah. No, I like that you just said that, because a lot of people think, well, not being an ego is just doing what's easy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a really powerful point. Cool. Well, look, that was just something I wanted to chat with you about today, and I think you've hit a few pointy points there. Maybe next time we'll talk about why the ego makes those things so important that it makes it hard to do what you love to do.
We'll see what comes up next time.
We'll see. All right.
All right. Well, guys, I also want to mention that if you are interested in some of the things that we're talking about at a much deeper level, my program, the 12-month coaching program called OMG, which stands for Oneness Mentoring Group, which, as Jamie mentioned at the beginning, he's one of the facilitators of that program. So you actually work with both of us. So if that's something that you're interested in, the OMG program, it's a very profound program. If you want more information, just click below and you'll find the details about the OMG program.
Yeah, maybe we're working together. So enjoy. Take care, guys. Bye.